What are your just to be safe habits? Double check that the door is locked before going to bed, even though I already know it's locked because I always lock it when I get in. Always have one hand on my keys in my pocket and the other on the door as I am shutting it. Locked my keys in the car too many dang times. This. Always lock it with the key, not the button on the door. And if I'm hoping out while the car's running, like in the garage to grab something out of the house when I was ready to go, the window gets lowered all the way down before I get out, just to make sure I can't get locked out of the car. I always take my phone into the bathroom with me, no matter what. I'm sure that the time I forget will be the time that someone breaks into my house while I'm taking a crap and I have no way of calling the police. Admit it, you bring it just for it. Checking that my car door is locked and that the immobilizer LED is flashing after pressing the button. Local gangs started deploying RF jammers recently, so it's not as irrational as it may sound. I always check my back seat before getting into the car at night. When I was in high school, my friend's uncle had a second job delivering pizzas at night to support his infant son. Some bum who lived across the street from the pizza place broke into his car, smashed the door light and waited for him to get into his car. He murdered my friend's uncle for $32. This is one of my most deep-seated fears. That and finding out with 100% certainty that someone is in my house that I don't know and can't see them when I'm already inside. I'm sorry for your friends your loss. Every time I leave a public place I've been sitting, like a table at a restaurant, I turn around and look to make sure I'm not leaving anything before walking away. In my friend circle everyone just gets up and leaves and I've picked up more phones and pairs of sunglasses for people than I can count. That's just being smart. Good job. You better believe I rip open that shower curtain every time I go into my bathroom. Now that I think of it, I never have a plan for what I'll do if someone is in there. Should probably figure that out before I get so rambunctious with my curtain opening. I couldn't figure out why I did this until my mom told me that she couldn't afford a baby gate when I started to walk and she lived in student housing. So she hid in the shower and jumped out at me until I became terrified of wandering into the bathroom alone. Lift toilet seat to check for spiders. Turn socks inside out and back again before putting them on to check for spiders. Shake pants well before putting them on to shake out spiders. Shake spiders to check for spiders. As I walk in the city, I sway my arm so that it rubs my wallet in my pants every couple seconds so I'll instantly know if I've been pickpocketed. I'm not even sure pickpocketing is even still a thing. It is definitely still a thing, though the targets are usually smartphones nowadays. Bring all of my underwear in my carry-on when traveling. That way at least I have clean drawers if my luggage gets lost on the way there. Or if you do the do while on the plane. When I use my debit card or checking account and withdraw an amount that isn't an even dollar, I round up to the next dollar and subtract that on the log I keep. That way I'd theoretically run out of money on paper before I ran out for real. This is vastly different to the game of chicken I play with my bank account. When I leave work at night, the building is locked. People prop open the door all the time to let people for after hours things. We have 4 departments that share one building, and I'm in charge of locking up my department's wing when I go. But just to be safe, I close and lock the main building door when I go. Policy says it is to be closed and locked at 6. My shift ends at 6. The door is closed and locked when I leave. If somebody comes in 90 seconds later and unlocks it and props it open, I don't care. Not my problem. If the police come to me for a statement, I will be able to say without a doubt that the building was closed and locked when I left. We get heads breaking in and stealing computers a couple times a year. Just California things. I never sit with my back to the door at a restaurant. I feel more comfortable knowing I can see who's coming and going. Wild Bill would have attested to this habit. Never sit with your back to the door, unless you can distinguish the footsteps of your mentored, even though those footsteps could be imitated. I ground my hand by touching my car when I pump gas. A kid in my high school blew up at a gas station and they can only attribute the cause to static electricity, so I've been cautious ever since. Be nice to the janitors. I have some kind of gastric problem. People have suggested crones or vibes when I describe it. If I'm nice to the janitors, they will half the time let me into the bathroom they're cleaning, when ordinarily they wouldn't. This can save me from having to walk across the store to the other bathroom. I work in a big superstore. Once I sat on the toilet and was looking at my foot when this spider crawls from under the toilet seat and on my thigh. I stood up screaming and waving my arms around, all while still peeing everywhere. Now I know better. Exit apartment, lock door, walk down street, forgot if I lock door, walk back to door, double check, finally get to car, late to work due to checking door, halfway through workday, have panic attack about if I locked the door. Friend has a similar problem, she films herself locking her door each morning, so calm her down. I always set my parking brake, even if I'm just parking on flat ground. I just don't trust my transmission to keep my car from rolling away. RIP Anton Yelchin. If I don't set my parking brake, my car lurches forward dramatically when I stop and I hate it. Have a fork, spoon, mini first aid kit, medicines, cash, tampons, and oatmeal packet in my car. Oh, and extra phone charger. My car cutlery at the moment consists of 9 sets of disposable chopsticks and a knife. It is also my personal car defense kit. No vampire will catch me unawares. I always try to force out a poo and pee before I leave the house. My mom drilled it into me as a kid, you should have gone before we left the house. Pull the ATM swipe pad. Seriously, credit card theft happens more than we think. Also, spell things with phonetic alphabet. I work on phones. It drives me crazy not understanding D's from C's, so now it's a habit. Buy extra toilet paper, even if we're not even close to out. We probably have 224 packs in the linen closet at all times. Yes, I was staying with a friend once and got food poisoning and she had only a half roll of toilet paper left, which I used up practically immediately. I don't understand how you could live like that. I like to have a full 24 pack in reserve at all times. I always leave myself extra time to get to work in case of traffic, and also because I start driving like a maniac if I'm running late. Whenever I want to remember that I did something, because I know I'll forget later and stress over if I had done something or not, I clap loudly. Sometimes I cheer too. It's so out of the norm and silly that it causes me to definitely remember. I did this once back when my husband and I were still dating. Why are you clapping after locking the door? Calling out an action is proven effective. One version is point and call. I don't point, but I verbalize. The door is locked, so helpful. I never let my hand get outside of my bed when I sleep. If my hand is outside the bed while I'm sleeping, I'm risking instant death. I circle the word refund on the customer's credit card receipt to ensure I haven't accidentally charged them a second time by mistake. Non-integrated POS system. Yeah, piece of crap system. Seatbelt. Every time. Stop at the mailbox on the way home. Get out to grab mail. Put seatbelt back on to go park the car. Won't put my car in drive until all passengers are buckled up. I do this too, but I think it's more habit at this point. I don't remember ever consciously putting my seatbelt on. I always look both ways before crossing a street, even if I know it is a one-way. The reason is because I remember one time my dad and I were driving to the store down the one-way street we lived on. Next thing we know we see a car turn at the end up the block, gunning it straight towards us. Luckily, my dad is a great driver and had excellent reflexes and was able to quickly pull the car to the side and slightly on the curb to avoid getting hit. We were both in shock, but before we could even react we heard sirens and started seeing lights turning around the block. My dad got out and started signaling to the cops where the guy went. Ever since that day I always make sure to look both ways, even if it is a one-way street, because things like this can always happen. Stop, look, and listen. Tell my husband I love you every time we finish a phone conversation or one of us leaves wherever we are together. If he crashed his car or his plane or dies in his sleep, I want I love you to be the last thing he heard from me, not don't forget cilantro. I always say drive safe to friends or family when they leave. Don't want them to crash because I forgot to tell them to be safe. After I lock the deadbolt, I jiggle the door rather hard. When I was working clothing in a restaurant, I got in trouble multiple times for having left the back door unlocked. Every time I was sure I had locked it, I started getting a complex about it and would turn around after going halfway home. Once, I turned the deadbolt and then tried to gently jiggle the door to reassure myself that it was in fact locked. It pushed right through. It turns out that the deadbolt is a piece of crap and will slide right out if jiggled hard enough. I texted my assistant manager who texted out head manager, who was livid. She'd overreacted to the back door being unlocked. Being angry was appropriate. Accusing me of trying to kill her was not, and was embarrassed of having been in the wrong. Whenever I figure out my bills, I always round up. So if I have a bill that would be like $87, I usually figure $90. It just helps to make sure you never go over the amount you have in your account, just in case an emergency were to come up. Type a work email. Spell check work email. Reread work email for appropriate content and wording. Send work email. Wait 4 seconds. Open sent folder and read work email again. Cringe over a mistake no one ever mentions or cares about. Whenever I leave my dog at home by herself, I always tell her where I'm going and when I expect to be back and if my housemates will be back before me or not. I like to think she understands me and knows I'm not leaving her forever. 3. While driving, I will never touch my phone. I don't care what noises it makes. I can check it later. Also, I don't believe in eating or drinking while driving. It's okay to take a bite or a sip at a red light but not while moving. I like to have both hands free in case something happens. Be nice to the machines. They are listening and have long memories. There may come a day when you wish you hadn't been mean to the machines. Don't call your digital voice assistant a bee even if she is being one. All of my friends are of the I'm at home going to bed. Why should I wear pants mindset that is so beloved nowadays. My wife is, too. Me. I always have pants on, whether they be jeans, slacks or pajama pants, and it's for one reason and one reason only. What if there's a fire? I do not want to be the jackass standing on his front lawn at 2:36 on some idle Tuesday morning with smoke filling the air and the rain pee down on me and not be wearing pants. Alternatively, maybe I don't hear the smoke alarm. Maybe I cook like a pork sausage in my bed. Maybe I wind up haunting the scorched, blackened ruins of my former home. I can't inspire flaming phantasmal terror with my spooky dangle flopping around. It just makes sense. I solve this problem by not having any self-respect in the first place. If someone's confused as to why I'm on my lawn in my underwear, I'll just point to my house that's on fire. My car came with turn signals. Didn't even cost extra, so I use them as much as I can. Changing lanes, turns, merging and exiting, even pulling over to the mailbox for example, and then again when I re-enter the road. Jack stand under the car. Seriously, if you're under a car these things save your butt. I have had a jack fail and if the stand wasn't there I would easily be dead. Even if it didn't kill me it would have been hours until someone found me. I prefer to put a vehicle up on blocks if I can. Feels more stable. No matter what I use, I'll usually side slam the vehicle with my body to make sure it's stable enough to not fall off when I'm wrenching on it. Back in my high school days, every time we had math tests I would have to type in questions like 5 and 1, 10x0, 3x2 etc into my calculator. Everything had to go through my calculator. IDKY. Feels more like it was me being paranoid rather than just in case though. Leave your valuable stuff out of your car or at the very least out of sight. I can't believe the amount of cars I have seen with laptops or phones sitting on their seat or console. Checking behind the shower curtain for killers or burglars when entering the bathroom. Also, checking the toilet for reptiles or other critters before sitting down. Aside from the fridge and stove I unplug everything in my house. I know it's overkill but I have a fear of house fires. Whenever I send a long emotional message to someone I always double check which person I'm sending it to, just to be safe. Whenever I preheat the oven I check if there's anything inside first, just to be safe. After changing tires, I always torque the lug nuts, just to be safe. When I love being outside I put on some sun cream, just to be safe. Whenever I begin my jerk-off session, I always try to look around if there are any hidden cameras, even if it was my own room, just to be really safe. I always lock, chain, booby trap the doors before going to sleep, just to be safe. I try to be cautious at times, just to be safe. Whenever I'll let my dog outside, I check to make sure all the gates are closed so she can't run off and that there are no mountain lions so she doesn't get slightly eaten. When in church, a bar or a restaurant, keep your back to as few people as possible and always face the entrance. Know where the nearest exit is too. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.